Hi guys, welcome to Salesforce Troop, and today we're gonna learn data table styling in LWC. So let's jump into our VS Code. So I'm in my VS Code now. I already set up the project, and if you don't know how to set up, you can watch my previous videos. So let's quickly create a component, and to create a component, we'll go to command palette. We'll select create lightning web component. We'll say the component name data table demo and take the default path. So this will create the component for us. So now you can see my component is empty right now. I'll go to the HTML file. I quickly create the card component and I'll give this card a title. I'll say data table styling in LWC. I'll close this card. We'll keep this card as it is for time being. And what we're gonna do is we'll change the meta tag so that we can able to deploy this component and place in a page. So I'll say is exposed to true, and then we'll set the target where you want to place the component, and I'll say targets, and right now I'll place this only in the app page, but based on your need you can change the targets here. So lightning app page I'm mentioning the target. Likewise you can go with the home page, record page, any page. So let's deploy this component now. So my component is deployed. Let's go to the org now. So I'm in my org, I'm in the app Salesforce Troop. I already create a lightning page for our demo, that is data table. So let's go to the edit page and place our component here in this particular lightning page. And now on the left hand side we can search our component table data table demo. So I place this, I can able to see the heading table data styling in LWC. Let's hit save. Let's go back. So the first task was to create the component and to place the component in the page. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna build the data table, but for data table we need the data, and to get the data we're gonna write the Apex class. So let's go to our VS Code and create a class. So again go to the command palette using Ctrl Shift P. You can go to create Apex class. We'll say table controller. Table controller is my class name here, and let's write some Apex. So first we'll make aura enabled, cacheable true, and make it true. And aura @aura enable decorator is very much important if you want to expose your method to the LWC. Then we'll create our method, class method. So we'll say public static, and we'll say we want the return type of list of account. So we're gonna fetch the data of account, and I'll say get accounts is my method name. We'll keep it very simple. We'll return select ID name annual revenue. And if you don't know what is this, these are the field API names, so make sure you are writing the correct API name. I'll say I want annual revenue, I want industry, I want phone from account object. And if you don't know how to get this, I can quickly show you that as well. So this is my class. I'll just deploy this, and in meantime I'll show you how you can get your these details. Go to the setup, and in the setup go to the object manager. In the object manager you can select the account because we are playing with the account data. Go to the fields. So these are the field names that you have to define in your case. So if I go to industry, so I'm using this industry I capital. I'm using phone, the phone name is phone here. So likewise I'm using those names here in my query. So now it's deployed. Let's go to our component. So I'll go back to my component.js file. First we need to import this method. So we'll say import what we are importing. We need to call the method get accounts. We'll say import get accounts from, then the path @salesforce apex, and then your controller name, and then your method name. So now our method is available in our component. So now let's call this method and bring the data to the component. So the easiest way to call the data is the wire service. So first import the wire from the LWC package, and then what we're gonna do is we'll say @wire, go and call my method. We'll pass the method name. Once the method comes, we can cache the data in two forms, one in the property form, another one in the function form. Let's cache the data in the function form because function form gives us the flexibility to like debug the data easily, right? So let's say accounts handler is my method name that will receive the data. So it is a promise, so it will gives us the result in the two form. One is data, another one is in error. And what we'll do is we'll say if data comes, print the data. If error comes, print the error. Console.error is the right way to print the error. So that's it. We are calling our method, we are using the wire service, and we are printing the data if data comes, we are printing the error if error comes. So let's deploy this component and see if our data is coming correctly or not. And make sure you deployed your Apex class. I already did that. So now it's deployed. Let's go to our org, go back to the page, and let's refresh the page. And if our method runs successfully in our console, we will see the data. So do the right click on the page, select inspect, and go to the console. You can see something is printing with the array 15, and this is coming from the file name. You can see on the right hand side table datatable demo.js. I'll zoom it a little bit and you can see the data is coming. So now we have the data available, and now we have to build our data table. So let's go to our VS Code. So I'm in my data table component, and now we already have the data. We need to store this data. For that, what we can do is we'll create a local property here, and I call this name as table data, and I'll say whenever the data is available, this dot table data equal to data. And in the HTML, what we're gonna do is we're gonna build our data table inside the card. So for that, what I can do is we'll call the Lightning Datatable component. It's a very simple component. In this, the key points need to remember is it takes the data as an attribute and will map our data that we are getting from the Apex. Apart from that, we need to pass the columns. Column should be the name of your table headers basically, and what type of it is. I'll show you how to create the columns. And yeah, that's it for time being. We'll improve one by one. So the data table is ready. Another important field is a key field that helps you to optimize your code. Basically, I'll keep the key field is at ID. Now my table is there. I'm passing the data table, but right now I haven't created the columns. So let's create the columns, and columns is a sort of a constant thing. So I always recommend to create the constants outside the class, and always give your constant names with the capital letters. That's my way of defining it. So if everything is capital, it means it's a constant for me. So we know what all things we are calling or we are getting ID, name, annual revenue, industry, phone. So let's start creating these labels. So columns are array of objects. Each object will take label. What label you want to show on the table header? So I'll say I want to show the name as account name and the field name. So field name is the API name that you are getting or that you are passing basically to this data table. So I'll say the field name you need to use for this header is name, because this is the field name I'm getting from the server and I'm using the same thing, right? I'll just make sure that's the correct one. I'll go to the page, I'll refresh the page, because in the console we are printing it anyhow, right? So I'll go inspect. Those are the names we should use. So name N is capital, rest is small. So I'll say field name is name, and if you'll not define the type, by default it's text, so we'll keep it as a text field only. I'll copy it below. I'll say next one I need annual revenue, and the field name here is, I'll go I'll copy the name, I'll paste it here. The field name is this, and we know this is a currency field basically, right? So we'll say type equal to currency. It's a colon, not equal, colon currency. So we are telling this field is a currency field, so automatically number will show in the form of dollar. And then we'll create another field that we are getting is the industry. So we'll keep the heading as industry, and the field name I'll copy it from here. I'll say it's industry, and industry is basically a text. So you can, if you'll not define, by default it's a text, but if you want to define explicitly you can use this. So here I haven't defined, by default it's text, I'm defining it here explicitly also to show you the variations. And we'll take one more field, we'll say phone number that we are calling. So I'll say phone, and the type is phone basically here, so it will be a blue link hyperlink. And the field name, just copy always from here, this is the source of truth for you, to the phone. Now you have your constants of column ready, so let's map it to a local property, and local property always should be small. It should be like camel case basically if you are using something. So I just map all the columns to a property columns, and I'm using these columns in the HTML. So now our data is ready that we want to show on the header and what we want to show in the data table. That data is ready. Let's deploy and see whether it's loading the data table or not. So let's deploy. So it's deployed. Let's go to our page, refresh the page. And it has not been loaded. So let's go quickly and see what's happening here. And I'm loading, and there may be a chance like the table is loading before the data comes basically. So we can do one thing, we can use an attribute like our directive will say template if true. It means the table data is available, then only load my data table. Okay, so let's try now. So let's refresh the page again, and now we'll see. So now you can see our data table is coming perfectly fine. Annual revenue is coming on the right hand side, industry is coming, phone is coming, because we read usually the amount from right to left, so it's coming this way. But at least our data table is loading, and the only reason why it was not loading earlier, because data was not available, and it was loading the table before the data comes from the apex. So now what we did, we just wrap it with the if true directive. So now other thing that I want to change is I just want to hide this checkboxes. Basically it's of no use for us, so we'll go back to VS Code, and it's pretty easy to hide. We'll pass an attribute hide checkbox column. If you'll not assign any value, by default it's a true. So let's deploy this and see. Now it's deployed. Let's go back to our org, press the page. Let's refresh again, maybe the cache issue. and now you can see the checkboxes are not coming, our data table is coming. So now our data table is ready. Now we'll come to the actual problem that we're gonna solve in this video, that is styling in LWC. So we'll start with the color first. We'll try to change the color of the text, and let's say it's like industry colors. I want to change it to green or something. Okay, so let's go to our VS Code back and try to understand how we can apply the color. So if you look at this data table is like consist of rows, and each row has a cell basically. So this is one cell, this is second cell, third cell, fourth cell inside the row, right? So we usually apply the classes or the CSS on the cell basically. Okay, so for that what we can do is we'll come to our column, and now we are saying we'll apply some styling to our, what we say, industry. Okay, so for that what we can do here is, no, we will do the styling for annual revenue. Okay, we'll say, okay, if annual revenue is above some amount, show green color, below something, show red color. So for that what we can do is we'll use a property cell attributes, and this attributes take the property in the form of object, and the property we can say I want to pass a class to this particular column, and that class will take further properties, and the property should be field name, and the field name should be a property that you're gonna pass from the data basically. So I'll say my field name will be amount color. So this amount color property should be available inside the table data basically. Okay, right now it's not available, but while I defining my header or the column, so I told whenever the annual revenue column comes, check whether it has the cell attributes. Yes, it has. Then go and check whether the classes is there. Yes, which class I need to map. It says okay, in the amount color, whichever class is assigned to this amount color property, assign that. Okay, so let's add this amount color property to our table data. So what I'll do is I'll run the map. Map is the best function to transform the data basically. So what we can do is we run the map and we'll add some properties on the fly. So we'll say whenever the data comes, run the map operation on it. Each property will be called as item. And what I'll say is, I'll say let amount color equal to if item dot annual revenue, that is this property. Whenever the item dot annual revenue is less than 500k, then add this class, otherwise this class. So how we'll add these classes? See, this data table is a component, and that to a Salesforce standard component. And if some standard component is there, they are using the shadow DOM, so you can't pass the classes directly. There are two ways to apply the style. Either you use a class that is already given by Lightning Design System, and that Lightning Design System is a global CSS basically, so it automatically override the classes given by Lightning Data Table. And the second approach is you create your CSS file externally and deploy it to static resources. So first we'll understand with the first approach, that is using the SLDS classes. And so if you don't know what is SLDS classes, go to the Google and say, type lightningdesignsystem.com, and in Lightning Design System you can type text. In the text we already have some classes. So if on the right hand side you can see different color, default color, success. So I'll say okay, whenever the success color this class comes, it shows the text in the green color. I'll zoom it a little bit for you guys. So this is green color. So I'll take this class and I'll go back to my VS Code and say whenever the amount is less than this, it should be red, otherwise green. So I'll pass it the green color. I'll go back and see where is the red color, and the red color comes with the error class. So I'll say whenever the amount is less than 500k, give SLDS text color class to that particular cell. So now we already have our class ready. Now we have to add this property to our table data. So what we can do is we'll say, okay, return all the properties that already exist inside that each object as it is, but you can add a new property called amount color, and that amount color will contain the value amount color. You can use the shorthand notation by passing this as it is as well. If your key and value name are almost same, you can use the shorthand, but I'll keep it this way for a better understanding. Okay, so now if we print this table data after this transform, we'll see what it gives to us. And it automatically map it here because we already create the cell attribute with the class field name amount color. So if annual revenue is less than 500k, it will show the red color, otherwise it will show the green color. So let's deploy this now and see what kind of data is transforming and how the data table is looking. So now it's deployed. Let's go back to our org, refresh the page. And now you can see that our rows are green and red, and whichever the amount annual revenue is less than 500k, it's of red color, otherwise it's of green color. So now you can see it's applying the CSS. And now let's see the data that is printing, and I'll open the each row, and now you can see it's adding the new field amount color that is done by the map operation. So we transform the existing data and add a new property using the spread operator and the map function. So now we able to add it. So now you saw how you can add these classes to a cell. Now we'll look into how you can add the icons as well. So let's go to our VS Code and see how you can add the icons. So let's add the icons to the annual revenue only. And what we can do is whenever the annual revenue is less than 500k, show the down arrow, otherwise show the up arrow. Okay, so what we can do is in the cell attribute, we'll add another property, that is, I'll put comma, I'll say icon name, and icon name will again take the field name and the property that you're gonna pass with the data. So I'll say I'll pass a property with the name icon name, and apart from this I can tell the position as well, like what should be the position of the icon. So I'll say after comma, I'll say I need an icon position to be on right side, not on the left side. And yeah, that's it. Let's add this property to our existing data. So the easiest way to do it is just copy paste the same line and use this field icon name. We'll say let icon name and map icon name colon icon name, and here we have to give the icon classes. So I already know what is the class name for the down, so it's utility colon down. This is the icon name basically, and then you can pass icon up if it is above 500k, and this icon name will map these classes, and automatically icon name will pick it up and show on the screen those icons. And the position, we are saying it icon should come on the right hand side, not on the left hand side. So let's deploy this. Let's go back to the org, refresh the page, and now you can see that wherever is the green color, the above icon is coming. If it is red color, down icon is coming. So this is how you append the icons. So icon also comes under the styling basically. So I explain how to add the icon, how to add the text color. Right now we haven't seen how to add the background color. So let's go and add some background color. So let's add to the industry or name some color, a background like cell colors basically. So let's go to VS Code, and the next task is to add the class. So as I said, if you are using a classes from the SLDS, it will apply. You can't create a class inside the CSS of the component. It will not work out for us because of the shadow DOM. So the class's name should always be a global classes. Either it should be from the Lightning Design System library or from your external CSS that you load using static resources. So we'll see that as well. So first we'll see with the standard backgrounds. Okay, so for that what we can do is, let's create a industry color here. So we'll add a cell attribute to our industry. I'll say I have a cell attribute. It is an object, and that object contain class. Class will take field name, and field name this time I'll say industry color is the property name basically here, and we'll map this industry color to our actual data. Anyhow we are running the map, so as many things we can add, and here I can say whenever this runs, add a another property industry color, and this should be some global color, right? So what I can do is I go to a Lightning Design System library, and in that I'll go to the icons. Basically you can search icons here. We go to the icons, and in the icons you will see there will be a custom on the right hand side. Click on this. These are the custom colors basically. We can use this color. If I use custom 1, it give me the red color. Custom 2, it will give me the green color. So I'll tell you how to use these colors basically. So let's go to our VS Code and apply some classes. So the class name I'll say SLDS icon custom, and custom, what was the number? Let's pick up this pink color. I'll say custom 12. So this will gives the color pink to our industry column, and if it is purple, pink, and apart from that you can, along with this, you can add some text color as well. So likewise we have here SLDS text color success. You can add as many classes as you want. So I can say SLDS text color, I can, instead of success I can give default. Default is a black color basically. So yeah, that's it. This is how you usually add your background color, standard background color I would say, that is given by the Lightning Design System library. So till now we have added 3 properties to our standard data: amount color, icon name, and industry color. So let's deploy this and see if industry color or industry column is getting the color or not. Now it's deployed. Let's go back to our org, refresh the page, and now you can see that our color in the column is coming perfectly fine, and this is pink color. If you change the color number, it will change the color based on the number. If you want 5, it will show the green. If you give 8, it will show the 8. Whatever color you want, these are the standard colors. Okay, now if by chance you need a color, a specific color that is not available under this system, then you need to create a extra external CSS file, and we'll look into that as well, because many times you need a color suggested by the client and you don't have an option. For that, what we can do is open a notepad. Okay, and you can create some colors here. So we'll create some CSS basically. So I'll give the CSS name as what I can give is data table red, orange, I can give orange, and just we are creating a CSS file basically, and I'll give the class color to be white and background color to be hash, I can say E06000. I guess this is the color for orange. And now we created one class, and we'll save this, in the desktop, and we'll save it with the extension color dot, I'll say colors dot css. So I'll save this. Now I'll go back to my org. We'll upload that file to our static resources. Go to setup and we'll search here static resource, and here we'll create a new static resource. We'll give this name colors. Choose the file, go to desktop, we'll say colors.css. We uploaded the file and we'll make it public. We'll save this. Now our file is available here. Now we have to import this file to our data table. So I'll come back to my data table, and to use this file we need some power, and that power will come from a package Lightning platform resource loader. So we need a method called basically load style, and that will come from Lightning slash platform resource loader, and just make sure that spelling is correct. So always try to copy paste instead of typing some big names. So now load style is available, and to use the color library we need to import it from the static resources are colors. So we'll say import colors from @salesforce slash resource URL and our file name, and our file name is colors. So the reference of the file is available. We have the method that will load the reference. So we'll go to our class and we'll say rendered callback. We'll call this lifecycle hook. So render callback will call once the rendering of the component is completed, and this is one of the dangerous callback method basically, because it will re-render every time anything change on the screen. So we don't want to load every time our library. We need to keep an eye on that as well. So first thing we'll load the library. So basically library means the file. So I'll say load style. This means where you want to load. This is the current component. In the current component we want to load. What is the path of the library? We already imported the path, colors. So load the colors. A load style basically a promise call, so it will return the promise, and we already know promise always come in the then or the catch method. It will come to the then if everything runs successfully. It will come to the catch if it will not run successfully. And what we'll do is we'll just print in the console loaded successfully, and here we'll say the error in loading colors. We are just printing for our reference. At least it gives us some indication whether the file is loading successfully or not, and we want this to be load only once. So what we can do is we can go to the top and create another local property. We'll say is css loaded. By default we'll make it false, and we'll say in the render callback always check whether this dot css is loaded. If it's already true, this property, return immediately, don't go to the next line. If not, just make this property true and run the remaining of the code. So first time when it comes, it will say, okay, CSS loaded is false because we initialize it with the false. It will go down, comes here, make this property is true, will load the library. Next time if anything change on the screen, it will come again to the callback. It will say, okay, is CSS loaded? Yes, it's already. It will not execute the rest of the code. So this is how you prevent reloading of your file again and again. And what we can do is now we can deploy this component and just see whether loaded successfully is printing in our console or not. And let's go to our org, refresh the page. And if I go to my console, now you can see it's loaded successfully, is coming perfectly fine. So what we're gonna do is we'll go to our VS Code, and this time what we can use is we can say, okay, let's add some styling to our name field that will be coming from the external CSS. So I'll add another cell attribute to the account name, and this time I'll say account color as a property name. And what I'll do is I'll go to again map, I'll add another property account color, and this color should be the class name that we stored in our file. So this should be the data table -orange, and we'll assign this class here now. So once this data table load, this class will get appended and our file loads, so it will automatically add the color that we are looking for. So let's see if it's working or not. Let's deploy the component. The component is deployed. Let's go back to our org, refresh the page. And now you can see that the orange color is coming from the external CSS that is loaded using static resources. So now this is orange one is static resources. This is a standard SLDS library. These are the text color. These are the icons. We have seen all the variation. Now many people ask how to give style to the header because we don't have any approach. For that, what we can do is go to your debugger, go to the elements, click on this icon, hover and see what is the class names here, right? So we know, okay, this is the common class, and if I apply some style to this, will it apply some color? Now you can see the color is applying in the account name. So if I apply something here using external CSS, it should override basically. So what we can do is we'll say, so we figured out that this class is there, but it's always good to give some combination to increase the specificity so that you can override the salesforce styling basically. So it's coming under the table tag, and table tag has the t head tag, and t head has a tr, and tr has this class. So let's go to our again CSS file and let's add these classes. So what we can do here is we can say I'll the table tag will be there. Within the table tag there should be a t head, and under the t head we have this class. We'll just copy this class and paste it here, and there should not be space in between these classes. And whenever this class comes, I'll give some color, and the color I can copy from here itself. So I'll say background, I'll say okay, this antique white. I'll copy this styling, I'll go here, I'll paste this styling here, and what we want, like on hover this text is not visible, right? So what I can do is I'll say here, I'll say whenever this class get hover means when you hover over it, make this color as black. Okay, similar thing what we're gonna do here is we'll say whenever you hover over this class, just keep the same color. Right now on hover of this it's becoming white, so I'll keep this class only. I'll say on hover to keep this background as it is. And it's always good to have an external component identifier, because suppose you have a two data table in the same component, this color will apply to the both data tables. So what we can do here is to make apply this styling to only one data table. We'll go to our data table, go to the HTML and wrap your data table basically with a different class. We'll say class my table, and wrap your data table within this class and use this class here and say whenever you have a class data table my table, and within that you get something table tag with the t head and this particular class is, then only apply this color. Okay, so let's save this. Let's go back to our org, go back to the static resources. Static resource, go to your file that you loaded colors, just click on edit and upload the new version of this file that we just now saved, colors.css. Let's save this, come back to our component. Let's deploy this component as well, because we have added this class here. And now let's see whether we able to change the header colors or not. Now it's deployed. Let's go to our org, back to the page, refresh the page. Now you can see that our colors are coming perfectly fine, and on hover earlier it was showing the white color, now it's showing the black color because we added that styling. So this is how you can style your Lightning data table. And in this video we learned couple of things. First we learned how to create the component, then we learned how to load the data, how to fetch the data from the Apex and load the data in the Lightning data table. Then we learned how to hide the checkboxes. Then we saw how to use the SLDS color classes. Then we saw how to add the icons and how to position those icons. After that, we saw how to use SLDS standard classes for the cell background. And in the end, we saw how to add the external CSS that we load using the static resources and use those classes to override the existing Salesforce styling. So that's it for this video. If you like this video, please share, like, subscribe, and if you have any doubt, you can ask in the comment box. And I'll try not to share the code basically, because so that you guys can follow and practice along with me. If I share the code, most of the people just copy paste, and that's not a good learning. Basically, you should learn by practicing it. So thank you for watching. Have a great day.